Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, my name is Chief Shon Barnes, Shonbarnes. I have the distinct pleasure of being the Chief of Police for the Seattle Police Department. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our training facility to discuss a topic that's been near and dear to my heart, as well as the leadership here in Seattle and, of course, our Seattle community, and that is returning our department to full strength. I think we're certainly headed in the right direction, and so we have some remarks prepared for you from some of our leadership to discuss some of the things that we have been doing in this great city in that regard. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our mayor, Mayor Bruce Harrell.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Chief. Hold your applause, please. So the officers you see standing behind me are symbolic of the direction we're heading as a great city and as a great police department. I want to ground us in a quote, if I may. Leadership and learning are indispensable to each other. That was a quote from JFK. So Chief Barnes, thank you for welcoming us into your training facility, and to everyone that's worked on police recruitment. A lot of fingerprints, if you will, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, a lot of tenacity, a lot of commitment in what you see here today. So last year we hired 84 officers. That was the most since 2019, and the first time hiring was greater than separation since 2019. And this year our recruitment pipeline is primed to do even better. So this year we've hired 60 officers as of mid-April compared to 10 at this point in 2024. That's 6 times the amount of officers. That's what we call a sextuple. S-E-X-T-U-P-L-E, sextuple. That's an actual word. I will not be using that in a lot of my speeches. But 6 times the number of officers. We have currently over 160 applicants in the background investigation as part of their application process as of mid-April. We are on a good trajectory. And it's been very intentional. We received over 1,200 applications this year by the end of first quarter compared to under 700 at the same point last year. We have talked about in our administration that we want the country to see how we are doing here in Seattle because we are proud of the efforts and proud of the outcomes that we are driving. I am inspired and excited to see these new officers here today. We spent a little time in the back room. We'll keep that amongst ourselves, sort of what happened back there, but suffice it to say, I was embarrassed. But again, as I started my remarks by saying, they are symbolic of where we're heading. These fine individuals, regardless as to their journeys up to this day, have decided to protect and serve all communities out here in Seattle. I couldn't be more prouder as a mayor. I want to thank a few folks just whose names has come to mind in our notes. Top-notch instructors like Lieutenant Longley, and connecting with community with Dr. Jamila Cage, who heads our Before the Badge program. Let's give those 2 individuals a hand right now. You're going to hear from Chair of Public Safety, Councilmember Bob Kettle, and Council President Sara Nelson as well. I want to recognize Councilmember Mark Solomon is here. This is truly a team effort. Now, a few remarks about these new hires. They truly represent our community. They range in age from young adults in their 20s to a seasoned public service employee who is 63. While some of our hires come from the greater Seattle area, others grew up across the country and around the world. Some of these new officers, this is even a 2nd or 3rd career for some of them. We have former paramedics, healthcare workers, military members, lawyers, tech employees, even a former tour boat captain. Different life experiences, different journeys. That's what makes an organization great. relying on one another to learn from each other's stories, to get to know each other's sort of backstory, if you will. One team. What I shared with them in the back room is that we are all in this together. It is not a us versus them situation. The city council, the city attorney, the municipal courts, the city employees, the mayor's office, the police department, the fire department, the care department, we are one team. And that is what their training teaches them. That is how we're going to get this work done. For the first quarter of 2025, violent crime went down almost 25%, and total crime decreased by 24% compared to the first quarter of 2022. Again, we are very intentional about making sure every community is safe. The progress is especially visible in looking at our downtown activation team. We were able to reduce violent crime by 27% in the pilot Pike Pine area along 3rd Avenue. But the progress in the numbers alone, while to be admired, for me is less than the progress in the attitude and the culture we're developing together. My 2 words to the recruits, to the officers, are just thank you. You have many choices in life on what you could do, but you chose to protect and serve the employees, the workers, the residents, the people of Seattle. Thank you. And with that, I will say that I am hopeful and optimistic. And you're going to hear from some speakers after me that I hope share my enthusiasm and optimism. And in addition to the new officers, thank all of you who've helped us get to this point. Thank you very much, and I'll turn it back over to Chief Shon Barnes, the MC for the morning. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to start my remarks by acknowledging the challenges our department and many other departments across the country have faced over the last 4 years in regards to recruiting. Following a national pandemic and the tragic death of George Floyd, which resulted in free speech demonstrations that challenged us as a police profession to reflect and to reform. Today, our police force currently stands at over 1,000 officers and faces a shortage of about 260 officers. Despite this, we are committed to rebuilding and strengthening our ranks with qualified public servants from across the country, the state, and of course here in Seattle. To address these challenges here at the Seattle Police Department, we've made some significant changes to our recruitment strategies. We've shortened the hiring process, making it more efficient for prospective candidates to join our team. We've embraced active recruiting, making more direct interactions with applicants a priority. This includes personalized outreach and support throughout their entire journey of becoming a police officer, which includes our Before the Badge program. This personal touch strategy includes the electronic pre-employment background testing to reduce the time required to keep applicants moving throughout our process. We've reduced the hiring wait time in half, from 5 to 9 months to 3 to 5 months. We've hired additional examination support staff to support the changing from a 2-month exam period to a bi-weekly exam schedule. We've eliminated the travel requirements for the physical agility test by allowing candidates to test where they live. We've leveraged social media and electronic platforms to reach a broader audience. Our messages focuses on the positive changes within our department and within the Seattle community. Thanks to the leadership of our mayor and city council, we are offering generous signing bonuses and salary increases to qualified employees. I am proud to share that we've hired, as the mayor stated, over 60 new hires this year, which almost exponentially increases from what we did last year. And that follows over 4,300 applications that we received in 2024, the greatest number since 2013. We're on pace to hire more police officers this year than any other time in our department's history, illustrating the city's renewed commitment to public safety and to community engagement. As we emerge from these challenges, it is essential to focus not on what we lack, but on what we possess. The dedication, resilience, and commitment of our officers and the community we serve is our mission. We're channeling our strengths as we build a department that is policing forward. I want to take a moment to personally thank Mayor Harrell, as well as our outstanding recruitment team, our human resources department, and every member of the Seattle Police Department. Your hard work is transforming our culture and showcasing that the Seattle Police Department is truly a great place to work. For anyone who is watching, who is interested in joining our ranks and making a difference in your community, we encourage you to visit our website for more information about the application process and other opportunities that are available within the Seattle Police Department. My goal, our goal, is to reinforce that while at the same time we're working to make sure we're fully staffed, that we're also working to ensure that every officer, every employee within the Seattle Police Department feels valued and supported. Thank you for your time and listening to my comments. At this time, I will be bringing up Councilmember Kettle, who chairs our Public Safety Committee.
Good morning. At the end of the day, this is not about numbers, but rather it's about leadership. And so thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your leadership on the issue of police hiring and across the board on public safety. And also thank you, Chief Barnes, for stepping up and taking on this leadership challenge to ensure that the gains that we've made are cemented and built upon. Key in this effort as well is leadership at the Seattle Council regarding police hiring, but more broadly, the environment, creating the environment that is supportive while maintaining accountability of our constitutional policing here in this city. It's about the overall showing up at roll call. It's about going to community meetings and being on the street. It's also about passing legislation that can assist the mayor, Chief Barnes, and the entire public safety system to help set up our city for success. So thank you, Council President Nelson, for your work as Chair of Governance and Accountability for the recruitment bill, which directly ties to what we're here today, but also the incentives bills passed out of Council. I also like to highlight and a thank you to Councilmember Joy Hollingsworth for the technology pieces that came out of her committee and the council overall. These bills, along with the labor agreement, the interim labor agreement, and those passed out of our public safety committee, show that we understand that while we're not part of the chain of command for the Seattle Police Department, we do have our leadership responsibilities too, and we're acting on them. To close, I want to thank those who work on this day to day, either at the Seattle Police Department or at the Public Safety Civil Service Commission, for their work is very important. And then finally, to the men and women of Seattle Police Department, thank you for your service. And given that we have the recruits behind me, I also want to thank all the recruits. A lot of them I met through the Before the Badge program for the work that they're doing, for them stepping up and taking on this public service role to help our public safety posture, to help our city. So thank you as well. Again, I really appreciate the opportunity to come here to highlight that this is a One Seattle team effort, that we're doing our part, Mr. Mayor, on the City Council. So thank you.
I shared with Councilmember Kettle when we first met that in my former life, I had 20 council members. I love them all. Should we do that here? Should we go to 20? No, we're good. We're not going to do that, but I am going to have an opportunity to bring up next our City Council President, President Nelson.
Well, good morning, everyone. You know, I've always said that nothing is more critical to improving public safety in the city of Seattle than building back SPD staffing levels. That is absolutely fundamental, as we all know. And last year's reversal of the 5-year trend of losing more officers than we can hire was the first sign that showed that our 3-year all-hands-on-deck effort was really starting to pay off. And I'm talking about everything from hiring bonuses to competitive compensation to improving recruitment and hiring practices. And that is Ordinance 127026, which mandated the report that we're learning from right now. All of that made a difference. And that was the result of layers of legislation, and then plus so much tremendous work from the executive. Thank you very much, and our accountability partners, et cetera. So I just want to note that we see, of course, that it takes a village and time to build a police department back that reflects Seattle's values and also engenders trust. And that is, of course, always a work in progress. And it's going to take all of us to make sure that we're still on hands on deck to as we move forward, and I'll be monitoring the progress going forward. But basically, my message today is to our recruits: thank you very much for your dedication to taking on keeping Seattle safe, and also to anybody out there who is listening. If you're considering a career in law enforcement, definitely put Seattle at the top of your list. So, thank you very much, everyone.
So I have been in charge of the Seattle Police Department since February 1 of this year, with the exception of 2 weeks. And those 2 weeks were spent at our regional police academy, going through my certification process. So for those 2 weeks, my boss was Monica Alexander. So it is my pleasure to bring up my former boss, and head of our regional training, Monica Alexander.
Good morning. What he failed to say is he fired me, so unfortunately he fired his boss. Thank you very much. Thank you to Mayor Harrell. Thank you to Chief Barnes, and thank you all for being here. This is a really proud day because I know that Seattle is 100% committed to building their agency back to what it was before 2019. In doing that, I've had conversations with Chief Barnes, and I have promised him that if he can hire 30 people, we can put a 30-person Seattle class through. With all of our regional academies, thanks to the legislature, the governor, and the funding, we have space now. We were at a 10-month wait just a year ago. We are at a 0 wait time now, and being able to do that will help us help Seattle. One of the things I want to thank Seattle for, and everybody in the city of Seattle, we were having a difficult time getting TAC officers, trainers at the academy, and that was because everybody was running short. And no one was running shorter than Seattle Police Department, but they stepped up and they gave us 5 TAC officers. That is a huge commitment and a huge sacrifice, and I am eternally grateful because we were looking at having to reduce the number of classes we ran. And while we're in a crisis for training, if we would have done that, that would have been detrimental to every agency in the state. So consequently, Seattle Police Department helped every agency in the state by making that sacrifice and giving us so many people. I am happy to be a part of this because I do believe in what Seattle Police Department is doing. I have seen amazing recruits come through. We have had a class that had a total of 14 out of 30 people in one class from Seattle Police Department. That says that the recruitment, the before the badge, and all of the leadership is doing something really, really great. And when I see that many people, I know that things are truly turning around, and it takes all of us, and I love the idea that I have the opportunity to be a part of this. So I just want to say thank you again to the mayor, the chief, and everybody that is supporting Seattle. Seattle is all of our city. Whether we live here or not, we all go to the sports events, we all go to the restaurants, we all take a part in Seattle. So let's be a part of making it what it has always been, just an amazing city. So thank you so very much, and I appreciate the time to speak.
Our last speaker is Miss Erin Goodman. I did see Councilmember Solomon, I thought, somewhere in here. Wanted to say hello to you, sir, and thank you for your support as well. So at this time, Erin.
Good morning and welcome to SODO. I'm Erin Goodman, the Executive Director of the SODO Business Improvement Area, and I am not as tall as previous speakers. The SODO BIA works every day to advocate for and support the diverse businesses that call this district home. These businesses, many of them family-run operations, are the backbone of Seattle's economy and the engine that keeps this city running. They create jobs, drive innovation, and provide opportunity for thousands of people across our city. However, over the past several years, and especially since 2020, public safety is the most urgent and persistent challenge they face. SODO continues to grapple with widespread property crime and drug trafficking, which are direct impacts from the ongoing fentanyl crisis that affects this district every day. That is why today's announcement is so meaningful. To truly address the public safety issues we face in SODO, we need more officers on the ground. SODO businesses, employees, customers, and visitors deserve to be safe, and our ability to prosper and grow depend on it. A visible and dependable police presence is essential to restoring confidence and supporting a thriving industrial and commercial district. Today, we're here to celebrate progress, a renewed investment in public safety with more officers entering the pipeline and real momentum in rebuilding a stronger, more responsive police force. I want to thank Mayor Harrell, Chief Barnes, City Council for their leadership and partnership. And I especially want to recognize the dedicated officers of the South Precinct who have continued to show up and serve this community every day, even amid staffing shortages and growing demands. This progress is encouraging, and we are committed to continuing to work together to make SODO a safer, more productive, and resilient place to do business. Thank you.
Thank you, Erin. Thank you for your words. Okay, so that ends our formal remarks, and I just close before we take a few questions by saying thank all of the speakers as well. I said in my opening remarks, it certainly is a village-type effort, and it all sort of culminates in the outstanding police officers we have standing with me, so thank you once again. And are there any questions? We'll take a few. Okay, so Jamie, can you help me just call on them, because I'll start off with Chris, since you were the first student and you were pretty aggressive with your hand. Chris Daniels, you got the first one.
It's a question for both you, Mayor, and the Chief.
Yes.
The Chief very optimistic last week when we talked, thinking you could hire 200 cops by the end of this year. What does that mean for the long-term police strategy and the short-term strategy in terms of your public safety plan?
Yeah, so Chief, I'll take a first shot at it, and I want to make it very clear that in our total public safety strategy, and I want to acknowledge that we have our Chief Public Safety Officer, Natalie Walton Anderson, here with us, that it just doesn't rely on the police recruits, the new officers. That is a fundamental part of it. But it also results in the changes we made in our fire department and our recruitment of our care department officers as well, in addition to our park rangers. And so we're looking at a very holistic approach with respect to the numbers themselves and what we're projected on trying to accomplish. Chief, would you like to say a few words there?
Chris, what it really means is that I'm pushing and encouraging and providing the resources that our recruitment team, our human resources department needs in order to get the job done. I think that just looking at the number of applications that we're getting in and the quality of application makes the process easier. When the quality of the applicants that are coming into the Seattle Police Department is good, the background processes are shorter, which means we can push more people through the process and get them ready to go to the academy. We're also seeing increases in people who want to lateral. That means that people who are currently certified as police officers in other states and even in the state of Washington want to be a part. I've received emails and phone calls myself from police officers who I have gone to school with, who they have sons that want to come over. I received a call from a friend of mine that I went to a class with. His son's a police officer in Atlanta, wants to come to Seattle. I received a screenshot from a gentleman that I spoke with in North Carolina recently who's interested in coming. And so my job is to give them everything that they need in order to make their dreams come true so that they can become Seattle police officers. And what that means for public safety is that we can get these officers trained, get them through field training, and put them where we need them the most, which is in patrol, which is certainly, I believe, the backbone of policing. And so we can answer calls for service. We can respond quickly to 911 calls. We can see our response times go down, and we can give our officers some relief that may need to take vacations or have personal, family, or military leave.
But say you do get those 200 within the year, how do you equate it? I mean, what is your goal here with response times, with the public safety numbers, the violent crime, investigations? How does 200 extra officers actually impact the police?
Sure, I think it impacts it tremendously. Again, with response times, having more officers with unobligated time gets us to places quicker. It helps us with some of our crime prevention strategies where we're looking at crime and some of our priority areas that have historically been an ongoing challenge for us. So, people say you can do more with less. You really can't sometimes. You do need the people. This is a people job, right? We can't send computers out to do, we need people to do it. And so I think that's going to help us tremendously. In fact, I know it. And it also means that we're going to be strategic about where we place people and making sure that we start, number one, with our patrol first and making sure that they are supported and that they have the men and women to do the job. When someone calls 911, you know you're going to get someone qualified and ready to handle business.
Okay, I'll take a few more questions. My ask would be to keep to one question each and try and keep your questions concise because we don't have a lot of time. So, Erica?
Question for Chief Barnes. Erica Barnett from Public Hole.
Hi.
I can't help but notice that most of the people behind you are men. One of your goals is to hire a 30% female recruit class by
Absolutely.
2030. So what are you doing toward that goal?
Sure. I'm glad you asked that question. So I looked at those numbers, and those numbers are not exceeding my expectations. Last year, we hired 10 females. This year, we've hired 5. So we still have some work to do on that. I'm certainly probably one of the first supporters of 30 by 30. Maureen McGough is a close personal friend of mine. And so I had a conversation this morning with staff about making sure that we give a second look to any applicant of a female applicant before we give them a rejection letter, like what's going on there, making sure that we have an additional layer, if you will, of quality control. But a lot of police departments struggle with that. But I think for me, it's making sure that any applicant, no matter your demographics, that Seattle Police Department is a place for you. People sometimes don't understand or underserved minority recruiting, whatever term you want to use. You don't recruit what you want, you recruit who you are. And so we're trying to show people that Seattle is a place for everyone. That's my strategy.
And do the discrimination lawsuits concern you on that front?
I think anything that doesn't show our department in a positive light concerns me. I'm very concerned about the branding of this police department and who we really are. Every police department goes through their bumps in the road, but my job is to show everyone who we are. We are a service, dedicated, selfless service, community policing agency that's willing to partner with anyone in order to reduce crime, and not only reduce crime, but make people feel safe. That's who we are. And so you will see that. I talked a lot about that when I talked to staff about who we are, what's our brand here. And so I don't think that one thing clearly defines an entire agency.
The mass exodus of police officers, and also after multiple allegations of a toxic workplace and discrimination, as we pointed out, any part of you worried about retainment going forward? What's your plan with regards to retainment?
Yeah, I think when it comes to retention, people sometimes don't leave their job. They leave working conditions. And so making sure that I give our employees, both sworn and non-sworn, by the way, because our professional staff are very important to me and they do an amazing job. If they all got up and left today, our department would ground to a halt. But making sure that everyone knows that they have a voice, that they feel appreciated, that their work is valued. I wish I could make the job of everyone easy, but I can't. My job is to make sure that your job is safe and meaningful, that when you go to home every day, you're returned the same way you came, and you know that you did something to make a difference in the lives of others. I think if we do that, retention will take care of itself.
Sarah Jean?
So, question about, I know Governor Ferguson just passed a budget with money for law enforcement agencies. So how is that going to have any kind of impact? I think that there's a proposed levy as well for police and courts. And then somebody had mentioned an interim labor agreement. So I'm just hoping to kind of get, where we are in terms of money and where we are in terms of an agreement with SPOC.
That's like 6 questions. Okay. So let me address the Governor Ferguson issue first. And so I think we know that a potential sales tax is on the table and being discussed. I think it's a 0.1% sales tax, which should generate statewide about $100 million, if my numbers are correct. And Seattle will be a great beneficiary of that. So with the council's input, we're looking at it. I mean, you know we have some budget challenges this year that you all are following that as well. So we're going to look at that. We'll make some decisions. Certainly that will help should we go down that path, but we have not made any final decisions. We recognize fully that public safety is one of the highest priorities that our people in Seattle want. So as we calibrate and balance our budget, that is a lens by which we will make decisions. That doesn't mean that housing and child care and education and the other climate change and the other strong components of our ecosystem are not important, but we do have to center public safety to make sure that our kids are safe and they are not traumatized so they can learn and people can come here to Seattle to enjoy their lives and live here, and we can recruit talent here as well. So we're looking at all of those issues. You had another, let's see, SPOG. So, because of labor rules, can't really talk too much about that, but I'm very confident that negotiations are going well. I get updated and I give input, and the council are our partners in that. I think you see just by how we refer to one another that we're all in this together. So I'm confident we'll have a good agreement that will make sure that everyone's protected, and we feel really good about it at the end of the day. So we're heading down the right road.
Okay, Claridge?
Christine Claridge, Axios, thank you. Are people starting to say that they're feeling safer?
Well, that's a great question. This weekend, I spent a lot of time out in 3 parts of the city just talking to folks, and they feel very optimistic about where we are heading. They are also very honest that there are parts of Seattle that they continue to be concerned about. We know that homicides, for example, are down 27.5%. We know that violent crimes are down 11%. We know that crimes across all categories are down 18%. Okay? So we are a data-based city. We drive with data and statistics. We are nationally recognized for our ability to create dashboards and open up the numbers such that everyone could see. But I will share with you those numbers mean absolutely nothing until I have everyone saying that they feel safer. And I can walk, I've said the analogy before, I could walk downtown in some of our worst areas. I could walk around SODO, Erin, with my granddaughters and feel good about it. So we listen to folks. People are feeling really good about the trajectory we are on. This is good news for them. So it really depends on who you're talking to at what point of the day. And I've got to also say that in recruiting, you know who some of the best recruiters are, right? They're the officers themselves. Say, come be part of this team. And so I'm very pleased with how the officers are helping us go about the recruitment. That's how we're going to get this work done. Thank you for the question.
Okay, we have time for a few more. We'll do Jonathan, Hannah, and then Amy.
Mayor, I've obtained a demand letter from the attorney of former SPD Chief of Staff Jamie Tompkins. She claims that SPD subjected her to a sexually hostile work environment, that she was falsely accused by SPD employees of saying that she had an affair with former Chief Adrian Diaz. What are your thoughts on these allegations, and how do you and the city plan to respond?
So, I thank you for the question, Jonathan. So I can't comment on either litigation or threatened litigation. I'll have to defer to the city attorney's office. But as you've heard before, we take all allegations seriously, very seriously. And what I've always said from day one, we are a learning organization as a city. All of the departments under my administration are learning organizations. So we will take that into consideration should it come to us for making decisions, but I'll defer to the city attorney's office for any pending or threatened litigation.
And how do you plan to respond to the public masturbation concerns at Denny Park?
Well, that was sort of a rough segue into a second question there, Jonathan. Well, again, I believe there's pending litigation. I believe there's pending litigation on that issue, and I'll just refrain from commenting on pending litigation and the allegations within the lawsuit.
Anna?
Yeah, segueing back to Jamie Tompkins, the Washington Employment Department did their own investigation and found that her allegations of sexual harassment and that the city did not protect her had some merit. They gave her the benefits, and the city, it's benefits that the city denied her when she quit the job. So were you aware of that information, that the State Employment Department did a separate investigation, found that what she was saying was valid? What are your thoughts on that?
Sure. So again, I'm not going to comment on that, on what you just disclosed to me, because no doubt sometimes mayors get deposed on what he or she may know in any lawsuit. So in all due respect, I'm just not going to comment on any allegations. I think it still falls under threatened litigation versus litigation. I'm not going to talk about anything I was aware of or not aware of. I mean, I have 14,000 employees, and so certainly I'm not aware of every allegations made or every administrative hearing. So I'm just not going to comment on any of this.
On the table for months now, you are named specifically on that. So I'm assuming that you knew about what she is saying. And is there, when you say lessons learned and have to go back and learn from this, is there admission that this was handled improperly, her case?
So you should not make assumptions. I have both a city attorney's office to handle all litigation, threatened, pending, and actual litigation. I have a general counsel that handles all litigation, threatened, pending, or actual litigation. And we are running a city and moving forward today. So it's a poor assumption to know I know every complaint made by every employee. That's just not a good assumption. So again, on this day, we're moving forward. You guys with me, right?
Absolutely.
We are moving forward in this city. Taking our city back into a situation where we are protecting people. That's why we're here today. So the lawsuits will take care of themselves. We have a city attorney that will adequately and effectively deal with those situations, and I'm not going to answer any questions on matters that, quite frankly, are caught up in the legal process.
Amy, last question.
I have a question for the chief.
Sure.
Amy Sundberg, the urbanist.
Hi.
I had a question about your real-time crime center and CCTV cameras that are supposed to, some people have said they might act as a force multiplier. So I want to know, is that your opinion of that technology, and when can we expect it to be fully operational?
We're currently in the process of trying to get more public space cameras activated. We do have some public space cameras in our Chinese International District. I think it's a false multiplier for making sure that if we can capture someone who may be harming someone, that we reduce the chances that we interact with someone who had nothing to do with it. And I can tell you, I've been there before. I've fit the description before as a young man, long before I decided to go to college, long before I decided to be a public school teacher, long before I decided to be a police officer. And so for me, if we can ensure that we are focusing our energy where it belongs and not intruding on lives of people that we don't have to be, I think that's a big win. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Alrighty.
All right, thank you. It's a good news day on what we see in front of us. I want to thank all the speakers once again, and let's make it a great week this week. Thank you very much.